Hi, I'm Gregg Braden. I'd like to talk to you about my book, The Turning Point, Creating Resilience in a Time of Extremes. And I think one of the first questions that people have asked me as they've come to understand that this book is now available is, what is the difference between the turning points that I'm talking about in this book and tipping points that so many people have heard of in the past? Tipping points are points in time that generally represent a point of no return. And usually not a good point. We hear about tipping points in terms of climate change. When we exceed so much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, for example, we've reached a tipping point of no return. Or we talk about the economy. How much debt can the economy bear before it reaches the tipping point of no return where everything just collapses? So the experts are very good at describing these tipping points. However, what they do not tell us typically is that before you ever reach a tipping point of no return, you must pass through multiple turning points that give us the opportunity to avoid the frightening consequences of the tipping points. A turning point occurs in our lives when a new discovery, a new revelation gives us a way of thinking and shifts the way that we have thought of ourselves in the world in the past. It gives us a way of thinking that allows us to make the choices and the decisions to move away from the frightening tipping points of no return. Turning points can be spontaneous, they can happen spontaneously in our lives, or we can create them intentionally, and that's the beauty of a turning point. You can create them when you choose to move away from some of the most frightening consequences of relationship, job, career, whatever it is that's happening in your personal life. We can use them on a larger scale, between nations, between communities, when we're talking about struggle that comes with our time of extremes. So the beauty of a turning point is that nature allows these turning points in our lives. They're very much a part of the cycles, just like the tipping points are, and we must pass through them before we ever reach those critical points of no return. And that empowers you and it empowers me to create the changes in our lives that allow us to thrive in our time of extremes.